Adventure games. Adventure games typically involve exploration, puzzle solving, and narrative-driven gameplay, often set in immersive fictional worlds. Players embark on quests, interact with characters, and uncover mysteries, progressing through the story by solving puzzles and making choices. Action games. Action games emphasize fast-paced gameplay, requiring quick reflexes and strategic thinking. Players engage in combat, often against multiple enemies, using various weapons and abilities to overcome challenges. These can range from platformers to shooters and fighting games, offering diverse experiences in adrenaline-pumping action. Sports games. Sports games simulate real-world sports such as soccer, basketball, and football, allowing players to control teams or individual athletes. They offer realistic gameplay mechanics, including strategies, tactics, and skill-based challenges, enabling players to compete in tournaments, leagues, or single matches against AI or other players. Simulation games. Simulation games replicate real-world activities or systems, allowing players to experience scenarios ranging from managing cities and civilizations to piloting planes or running farms. They offer immersive, often detailed environments where players can experiment, strategize, and make decisions to simulate various aspects of life or fantasy worlds. Platformer games. Platformer games feature navigating characters through levels filled with obstacles, enemies, and puzzles, often focusing on precise jumps and timing. Players control characters as they run, jump, and sometimes fight their way through side-controlling or 3D environments, collecting items and reaching the goal. RPG games. RPGs, or role-playing games, involve immersive storytelling, character development, and decision-making. Players assume the role of fictional characters, embarking on quests, engaging in battles, and progressing through a narrative-driven story. RPGs often feature exploration, customization, and complex game mechanics such as leveling up and skill trees. First-person shooter games. First-person shooter games put players in the perspective of the protagonist, emphasizing shooting and combat mechanics. Players navigate through environments, engaging enemies with a variety of firearms and tactics, often with a focus on multiplayer competition or immersive single-player campaigns. Action-adventure games. Action-adventure games combine elements of action and exploration, typically featuring a large open world to explore with a focus on combat, puzzle solving, and narrative-driven quests. Players navigate environments, engage in battles, and uncover secrets while progressing through the story. Fighting games. Fighting games pit players against each other or AI opponents in one-on-one combat, focusing on mastering combos, techniques, and timing. Players control characters with unique abilities and fighting styles, competing to deplete their opponent's health bar or achieve specific objectives. Real-time strategy games. Real-time strategy games require players to manage resources, build bases, and command armies in real-time battles against opponents. Players must strategize, prioritize objectives, and adapt to their changing conditions to outmaneuver and defeat their opponents. Racing games. Racing games simulate driving vehicles in races, whether cars, motorcycles, or other vehicles, often featuring realistic physics and track designs. Players compete against AI or other players in various racing modes, including circuit races, time trials, and multiplayer online races. Shooter games. Shooter games encompass a broad range of genres, emphasizing shooting mechanics and combat against enemies. They can include first-person, third-person, and top-down perspectives, with gameplay ranging from realistic military simulations to fantastical sci-fi adventures. Puzzle games. Puzzle games challenge players to solve problems and complete tasks using logic, strategy, and pattern recognition. They come in various forms, including Match 3, word puzzles, and physics-based challenges, offering engaging mental exercises and sometimes relaxing gameplay experiences. Casual games. Casual games are designed for a broad audience, featuring simple mechanics, intuitive controls, and short play sessions. They often include puzzle, arcade, or simulation elements, providing accessible entertainment for players of all ages and skill levels. Strategy games. Strategy games emphasize planning, tactics, and decision-making to achieve victory in complex scenarios. They can range from turn-based to real-time gameplay, involving resource management, combat, diplomacy, and exploration in various settings and genres. Massively multiplayer online role-playing games. MMORPGs are online multiplayer games where players interact in a persistent virtual world, assuming roles of characters and embarking on quests, battling enemies and forming alliances with other players. They offer vast, persistent worlds with ongoing development, social interaction, and character progression. Stealth games. Stealth games challenge players to navigate environments without being detected, often featuring espionage, infiltration, and covert operations. Players must use stealthy tactics, distractions, and gadgets to evade enemies and complete objectives without alerting them. Party games. Party games are designed for social gatherings and multiplayer enjoyment, featuring simple mechanics and engaging gameplay for groups of players. They often encourage interaction, competition, and laughter through a variety of mini-games, challenges, and activities. Action RPG games. Action RPGs blend elements of traditional RPGs with fast-paced action, featuring real-time combat, character customization, and exploration. Players engage in battles, level up characters, and progress through a narrative-driven story with immersive action sequences. Tactical role-playing games, TRPGs. TRPGs emphasize strategic combat and character development within a narrative-driven framework. Players control a party of characters, each with unique abilities, in turn-based battles against enemies, often featuring complex battle systems and customization options. Survival games. Survival games challenge players to endure hostile environments, gather resources, and fend off threats to survive. They often feature open-world exploration, crafting, and base-building mechanics with elements of strategy and resource management. Battle Royale games. Battle Royale games drop players into a shrinking play area, where they must scavenge for weapons and resources while eliminating opponents to be the last person or team standing. They combine elements of survival, exploration, and combat in intense, high-stakes matches. Horror games. Horror games focus on creating an atmosphere of fear and suspense, often featuring elements of psychological horror, survival, and exploration. Players confront terrifying enemies, solve puzzles, and uncover dark secrets while experiencing a chilling narrative. Open world games. Open world games offer vast, expansive environments for players to explore freely, often featuring non-linear gameplay and dynamic interactions. Players can embark on quests, discover secrets, and engage in various activities from combat and exploration to crafting and storytelling. Tower defense games. Tower defense games task players with defending a base or path from waves of enemies by strategically placing defensive structures along their route. Players must manage resources, upgrade towers, and plan defenses to withstand increasingly difficult enemy attacks. Educational games. Educational games aim to teach players specific skills, knowledge, or concepts in an entertaining and engaging way. They cover a wide range of subjects, from mathematics and science to history and language, often incorporating puzzles, quizzes, and interactive lessons. Management games. Management games challenge players to oversee and optimize various aspects of business, organizations, or virtual worlds. Players must balance resources, make decisions, and solve problems to achieve success in areas such as city planning, theme park management, or restaurant simulation. Tycoon games. Tycoon games put players in control of building and managing businesses or enterprises to achieve financial success and growth. They often involve strategic decision-making, resource management, and business simulation mechanics, allowing players to experience entrepreneurship in various industries. Incremental games. Incremental games, also known as idle or clicker games, involve gradually increasing progress and achievements through simple actions such as clicking or waiting. Players earn currency or resources to invest in upgrades, unlocking new mechanics and goals over time. Art games. Art games focus on artistic expression, experimentation, and exploration of themes or concepts, often prioritizing narrative and aesthetics over traditional gameplay mechanics. They can provoke thought, evoke emotions, or challenge players' perceptions through unique storytelling and visual styles. Text-based games. Text-based games rely primarily on textual descriptions to convey gameplay and narrative, often featuring interactive fiction, choose-your-own-adventure stories, or text-based role-playing experiences. Players make choices or input commands to progress through the story and affect outcomes. Music rhythm games. Music/rhythm games challenge players to synchronize actions with musical beats or rhythms, often featuring gameplay mechanics such as tapping buttons, hitting notes, or dancing in time with the music. They offer immersive audio-visual experiences and can range from casual to highly competitive gameplay. Life simulation games. Life simulation games simulate aspects of real-life experiences, allowing players to control characters or communities and make decisions that affect their lives and relationships. They often include elements of social interaction, career advancement, and personal development. Dating simulators. Dating simulators simulate romantic relationships and interactions, allowing players to navigate virtual scenarios and develop connections with characters through dialogue and decision-making. They often feature branching storylines, multiple endings, and character customization options. Board card games. Board/card games adapt traditional tabletop games such as chess, poker, or Monopoly into digital formats, allowing players to compete against AI or other players online. They often offer faithful recreations of classic games or innovative twists on familiar mechanics. Artillery games. Artillery games, also known as projectile or trajectory games, involve aiming and launching projectiles to hit targets, while compensating for factors such as gravity and wind. Players strategize to outmaneuver opponents and achieve precise shots in various scenarios and environments. Exploration games. Exploration games encourage players to discover and interact with expansive environments, uncovering hidden secrets, landmarks, and stories. They often feature open-world exploration, puzzle solving, and immersive storytelling, allowing players to chart their own paths and adventures. Cooperative games. Cooperative games promote teamwork and collaboration among players to achieve common goals or overcome challenges. Whether in PvE, player versus environment, or PvP, player versus player scenarios, players must communicate, coordinate, and support each other to succeed. Competitive games. Competitive games pit players against each other in head-to-head contests, tournaments, or ranked matches, often emphasizing skill, strategy, and reflexes. They include a wide range of genres, from shooters and sports games to strategy and fighting games, catering to diverse competitive gaming communities. Narrative games. Narrative games prioritize storytelling and character development, offering immersive experiences driven by branching narratives, player choices, and character interactions. Players influence the direction of the story through their decisions, leading to multiple outcomes and endings. Escape room games. Escape room games recreate the experience of solving puzzles and unraveling mysteries in themed environments, challenging players to escape within a time limit. Players must work together, using logic, observation, and teamwork to solve puzzles and progress through the narrative. Artificial life games. Artificial life games simulate ecosystems, creatures or societies with emergent behaviors and interactions, allowing players to observe, experiment, and influence their development. They often feature complex situations of genetics, evolution, and social dynamics, offering insights into virtual life forms.